All right. Hey, everyone. We've got Jay Lee, founder of Golden Compass LLC. Jay, I'm so excited for you to be here today to get to ask you questions and share with all of our audience, all of our community about what it is you do. And I feel like every time I get to talk with you, you share some wisdom with me that I find both really profound and insightful and also very practical. So I'm really excited for what everyone watching today is going to learn from you. But I would love to just start off the show by having us tell you a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, Lauren. I appreciate it, and I'm glad you find me insightful. At least someone does. So that's great.
I'm not
Yeah,
the only one, Jay. He's humble too, you guys. He's humble.
we try. But yeah, no, I mean, you pretty much hit it. I'm Jay Lee. I'm a normal guy, but I had a military career before this, and a lot of things happened in that career that led me to the point uh, of today. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here. Really happy to share.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, he's a prolific speaker. He's a finance and leadership expert. He does coaching, consulting, speaking. So uh, Jay's awesome. And as you guys can see from his really cool background, um, it has a real military vibe to it, which is
This
really
is the
neat.
only this
I
is the
love
only
it.
room that my wife says that I'm allowed to talk about myself, and so that's why I spend a lot of time in here.
Nice. Well, I like it. I think it's like a good background for you. It's really like it goes with the branding, it goes with everything. So, why don't we start with this because you've got a really incredible story of how you went from the military to being the founder of Golden Compass and how it's inspired everything that you do now. I think one of the great things about Jay is everything he says and does is so authentic to who he is and to his life and his journey and his experience, both professionally and personally. So that's something I really love and appreciate about you, Jay. So I would love for you to just share how did you get from the military, the Navy, to where you are today?
Yeah, and I just want to thank Chris Gray here for his taxes.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it without you and all that funding. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Thank you,
Um,
Chris's, for being here today too.
yeah, we got two Chris's, perfect.
Two Chris's, awesome.
But yeah, I was in the Navy and Navy bomb squad, and a lot of the yeah, I mean, a lot of my experience was it was, controlled chaos essentially and high pressure situations. And there was a lot riding um, on the bottom line, right? The bottom line wasn't, my company making millions of dollars and trying to profit as much of that as possible. It was human life. And that was unfortunately lost on me when I got super distracted with all kinds of stuff, finance being the number one thing that I was distracted by and my mismanagement of it, which really ultimately led to a series of unfortunate events and then an awakening essentially. Very lucky. Definitely had some oversight from up above, and that's the only reason why I'm here today, and being able to share the story with you. So, I mean, what in particular would you like to know?
Yeah, so you definitely had like a turning point moment in your career in the Navy, and then where you said like I'm gonna I'm gonna turn things around financially, and you worked really hard. Hi, Ray, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Um, and so you had like this moment, and what did it take for you to sort of get to the point where you said, okay, I'm I've gone through something hard financially. I'm out of that situation. I worked my way through this and now I'm ready to help others.
Yeah. So again, that's a great question, And long story short, I was so stressed out about money. And, being a bomb technician, that requires laser focus, right? You had to be on all the time. Um, Again, it was human capital uh, at the end of the day. And I was so stressed out, right? I was so stressed out about my financial situation that I created because I wasn't always good with handling money. I was actually pretty terrible at it. Um, you know, Single mom raised, but much to my mom's credit, I'm not saying she did anything bad here. She did the best thing, she did the best with what she had at the time. And that was just, getting us to survive. And with me, that was a full-time job, in addition to her full-time job. So I had this view of how you should manage money, and it was not actually how you win with money at all. It was paycheck to paycheck, way overextended. As soon as I was eligible for credit, I was like, "Ooh, now I'm an adult because people are going to give me credit, and this is good, and that
Mhm.
made me feel good." And right up until the bill started coming in, I was like, "Oh, I can't, this is hard to pay for. This is really hard to pay for." So I really tried to, but then I really didn't try to. I was justifying toxic behavior. I mean, I deployed to Afghanistan several times, and with that came a very toxic mentality of I didn't know if I was going to make it back, right? And that's how I
Mhm.
was living my life instead of planning on making it back and trusting my training and relying on my team and all the things that I was trained to do. I just let myself slip into that toxic realm, and I almost got my team killed because I was so distracted. And it was we were on a dismounted patrol in Afghanistan, this one particular incident, and it was we were again a dismounted patrol. So that is we're going out, and this is me on I was direct support for a SEAL team, and we're going out on foot. There's no vehicle support whatsoever. So what we had in our bodies is what we had, and our missions typically lasted for around 9 to 13 hours. And so we were just out trying to kill bad guys, right? And we were going after a lot of them were either financiers, people that are paying money to have explosives like accumulated or procured or made or whatever the case may be, and paying people to go and place them around the area to kill Americans. So those are the types of guys that we're going after, and we're out on this mission. And it's the middle of the day. We did a lot of stuff at night, and leading up to this, disrupting a lot of this network. And so, really, these networks did not like us whatsoever for a lot of obvious reasons.
Mhm.
And we're out in the middle of the day now, and they are just smitten. Right? They're smitten. They can see us. They all eyes. Everyone could see us. And
You feel like a sitting duck probably
oh
in a
yeah,
lot of ways.
oh yeah.
Ooh.
Walking off the camp in the middle of the day was eh, it was a weird feeling because you just know it's like you're looking at me. I have no idea who you are because there's no uniforms. Everyone looks the same.
Right.
And that's not a derogatory thing. Everyone is just wearing plain clothes, right? We're not fighting
Mhm.
an enemy that has a uniform. So you don't know who's who. And we're out. My buddy, my other EOD teammate, for anyone that doesn't know, right? There are two EOD guys um, on every SEAL platoon worldwide, or Green Berets or Rangers or whatever the case may be, right? So there's
Okay.
two of us just to handle this thing, the unexploded bomb, right? And if what I'm talking about, if a lot of people don't have this experience with these IEDs or improvised explosive device, just think of any movie, like spy movie you've seen with this contraption that's like a shoebox size with wires coming off it. There's a giant clock counting down, and there's like, yeah, you know, it's kind of like that. Not really. There's no giant clock telling you this is exactly how much time you have until this thing goes off. Um, you don't know when it's going to go off, typically.
Wow.
And so we're out. My buddy is working on what he thought was an IED, an improvised explosive device near a bridge that we had to cross. It was raining a lot, and during this time, and like I said, we were on foot, no vehicle support, so we were heavy. Like we had our body weight strapped to our bodies, and crossing this river was just a no go. It was probably about 30 meters, or for us in America, it's probably about like 30 yards, right?
Mhm.
Three first downs to go to cross this river, and it was raging. Like people have died and drowned trying to do these river crossings. So it just wasn't tactically feasible for us to do
Mhm.
that. So we had to cross this choke point, is what it's called. And my buddy was clearing this bridge, and me and another teammate took up a supporting position for about 40 minutes while he was working on this, just to give him, I was there to provide extra EOD support if he needed it. And we both were, going to cover him with our guns just in case it got crazy. So
Mhm.
he's working. And then I think I'm like, laser focused. I'm on the mission where, in Afghanistan, anyone would have killed to be, where I was in my community. And I was just like, oh, look at the draw. I wasn't hand selected to be there. I was just in the right place at the right time. And I got on this platoon. So it was great, So I was just really trying to do my best and be a professional and support these guys and do my job properly, because that's what they needed from me. That's what we all needed to get home safely. And I just we were talking about everything that happened, like up to there, talking about what we're gonna do next. And then it was just like time, pause for a second, and I'm just so distracted internally. Externally, I'm just like I'm
Mhm.
appearing to be super locked on. And I've put up the compartmentalization wall. And on the interior, I am just a mess. I'm thinking about the bills I have to pay. If this, because I was paying my mortgage with a credit card, paying another credit card off with that, like to using another credit card to pay off that one. It was just like this
Mhm.
very hollow shell game that I had going. I mean, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. You probably deal with a
I
lot of clients
do.
like
Well,
me.
I know this is relatable. Like, you're not
Uh,
the only one. So I can't tell you how deeply I appreciate you, just being willing to share this, because this was all like going on internally. No one would be the wiser, right? And so I
no,
love that you're, willing to just share what you went through. So financial stress really took the forefront of your mind, even in a life or death situation, because that is the reality of how stressful finances can get.
yeah. I mean,
So then,
we think we're really good at communication, but at the end of the day, it is just the walls are permeable, no matter how good you think
mm,
you are at it. And they definitely
wow.
were for me. So
So then what happened?
so um we're working on this thing, and I'm just so distracted, right? I am just thinking about all these money things, all these finance things, and I'm just like I it's I was stressed, right? I
Mm,
say the word stress, but I want to emphasize, like, I was stressed to the max. Um,
mm,
I'm dealing, like, my profession is just inherently dangerous. So there's that. I'm at war. There's that. People want to kill me. So there's that. But that's literally a very small percentage of what was actually stressing me out, right? I was trained, highly trained to deal with all that stuff. I wasn't trained at
mm,
all to deal with what was going on in my personal life, like zero. And I was stressed. I cannot emphasize that enough, because I was worried about a couple extra, like, $100 coming in every month for, like, deployment pay is tax free, like what have you. You get like a little bump in pay when you go on deployment, and that's what I was more concerned about, to finance my life, instead of the men that I was with, the 25 human lives that I was with, right? So I turn to my buddy, we'll call him Jack for all intensive purposes, right?
mm.
And I just asked him, like, Jack, are your extra pays started yet, man? Like, and this after we've been standing there for 40 minutes, okay? 40 minutes. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I'm getting all of them: hazardous duty, imminent danger, hazard fire, just the names of those pays, right? Hazardous duty,
Mm.
imminent danger. I mean, come on. Like,
And you're not
that
even
should have
getting
been,
paid enough for that, honestly. I mean, that's
that's a whole separate conversation.
that is a separate conversation. But
But yeah, like, these things, I'm saying them out loud. I'm literally in the situation that those why I'm eligible for those pays in the first place. And I'm just like, I reel, because he's like, he already got him. I'm just like, damn it. I need this to kick in soon, right? I need this money. I need this extra bump in pay because of everything that I just told you. And um I'm just like, when did you start getting paid? Like, what the, like, because why am I not getting paid yet? And you are. type deal.
Mm.
And before he could answer, there was just a detonation, right? Detonation occurred behind us about 30 meters, right? The same distance as that river, three first downs, right? 10, 30 yards. And yeah, it was just a deafening blast. It ripped through the air. And again, it was an undetected IED. We had already walked by, had detonated behind us. And fortunately, like by no credit of my own, is anyone alive in this situation, right? This is all by God's grace, 100%. And um, the explosives were degraded and it was set up poorly. I mean, I don't want to nerd out on all that stuff, but yeah, it was just poorly. It was a poor setup. So I go and do the forensics on that. That's another aspect of the EOD jobs. Like what was it? What kind of explosives? How did it blow up? How was it triggered? All the
Oh, so
things.
you had to go back over there and be like, "Great, now let's go check this out and see what
Yeah.
was going on here." Oh my
Talk
gosh.
about a walk of shame, right? Talk about a walk of
Um,
shame. And I had already walked past this point. So I had
mhm,
already cleared that area. And so I'm going back, doing the walk of shame, whatever. All I cared about was if anyone was hurt at that point. And the only thing we lost were probably a couple pairs of pants because, I mean, it was loud, right? It was
mhm,
loud. And they were probably, I mean, they were right next to this thing, the 15 guys that were over there. And I'm doing my data collection, doing the exploitation of the site, and then we'll call him Ali, right? One of our Afghan local police partners comes up to me with our interpreter, and he's like, "Yeah, there's a secondary. I just got intelligence that there's a secondary IED, like kind of where we are." I'm just like, "What the hell is going on?" Okay, like
mhm,
this one just went off. Now this dude, and how he knows that, he's a local Afghan, right?
mhm,
That's beyond me. That's already kind of
mhm.
sketchy at this point, and I'm just like beside myself. Like time is like literally just like coming to an halt. I'm just like staring at this guy, and I can like feel my heartbeat. I'm looking at him. I can see like the sweat dripping down his face in slow motion. I'm just like, I cleared that area. You know, I'm an explosive expert, and there's no way there's an ID over there, like anywhere. I was just over there for 40 minutes. I set up a fighting position. There's no way that there's another ID.
Oh, so you're
And
thinking they might not be truthful, like it could be a setup type of a situation?
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, okay, snap. My everything comes back into like regular. He's like, hey man, there's another ID close by. It's right over there. And I look, and the area that he pointed to was 6 to 10 feet away, where me and my buddy Jack were standing for 40 minutes. And we all know what 6 feet is, right? That's how far apart we've been standing away from each other in the grocery store,
We're
right?
familiar with that length of
Whoa,
distance.
6 feet, man! Like back up, okay?
Mhm.
Well, there's a bomb apparently 6 feet away from where I was, and I didn't even know it. So I didn't really think that this was credible intelligence.
Mhm.
I clear over there haphazardly again. Like that was very stupid of me. And seriously, how I'm here today is truly by the grace of God, especially in this one circumstance. And I go back over there and I clear up to the exact area that he's like, it's right over there. That's where I got the phone call, said it was right over there. I was like, cool, whatever, dude. I'll clear it and make sure like you're just full of it, right? So I go over there, and yeah, there was 100% an ID, exactly where he said it was.
Mhm.
It was about the size of a shoebox. We've all seen shoes. And how this one was set up very good. Okay. This one was set up very good. And it was lined with a probably 250 to 500 steel ball bearings pointed directly at where we were. And in line behind us, so me and my buddy were here. Behind us were those 15 other guys, right? This IED, if it went off, we would 100% be killed. 100%.
Mhm.
And those steel ball bearings are detonating at, I mean, like 17 times faster than the fastest fighter jet on the planet. Okay. They're coming out of there fast, 26,000 feet per second. And they're going to go 15 or 30 feet or whatever, 30 yards. And they would, at a bare minimum, been catastrophically wounded by this thing. So I see it, right? And I'm just like, all this is happening in my head and like, in fractions of seconds. I'm thinking of all this stuff.
Mhm.
And I get down because I look at it and how it's initiated, right? This IED is set off. There's a cell phone attached to it. So someone somewhere, and again, this is broad daylight, is watching
Oh,
us, right? They're
yeah.
watching us. So when we come into the kill zone, is what it's called, someone will call that phone that's attached to it and functions the IED. right? That's like the same thing as I'm pulling the trigger.
Wow.
So this is going on. I see the phone. There's no time, right? There's absolutely no time
Mhm.
to evacuate anyone. This thing is like literally, I'm standing, it's in between my feet, right? I'm looking at
Oh
it
my gosh.
and I can't even tell everyone to get down. I kind of like, I do my thing. They kind of sense my body language. They seek whatever cover they can find because they know I'm going to take an action on this. They've been briefed. If it's a scenario like this, I'm just going to go hands on right away because if we wait, it could go off, right?
Oh
There's no
my
time for
gosh.
anything. So I get down. Everyone's like, oh my God. They're like getting cover, whatever they can get, because I'm going to go hands on this thing, which is the absolute last resort for an EOD guy, right? That's the last thing we actually want to do
Mhm.
is go hands on an ID because there's zero protection. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not wearing a bomb suit, right? We've all seen the big, huge, I don't know if whoever's seen Hurt Locker. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation
This
about
is
that movie.
not how things are
And
done when you're out in
no,
the
no,
field.
that suit's
Yeah.
like 85 pounds, right? You need a
Yeah.
truck to use that suit. So I'm not wearing that thing around Afghanistan for 9 hours. That's for sure. Um,
Right.
so I'm just in my regular clothes. Like I have a plate carrier, like all my body armor and stuff like that. But that is literally not going to save anything if
Kind of
this thing goes
irrelevant
off.
at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
Gosh.
even close. So I go hands on this thing. I render it safe, right? It was the blue wire, not the red wire, for the record. And it was just like I thought I would have felt good, right? Because this is kind of a high profile thing. Like not a lot of people get to do. I say get to do this, right? But that's part of our job. And it's like
Mhm.
now I can say it's like, oh, cool. I've rendered safe an ID by hand, which is not actually cool in real life. It was the worst feeling of my life, honestly,
Yeah.
because I stumbled upon it after someone told me about it. I didn't find it, and I was forced to do this action. It wasn't my decision, right? So I'm literally just reactionary at this point. I'm just trying to keep up with life as it's happening in real time. And I'm like staring at this phone, right? And the mission starts to go on and I don't have my radio, right? Because it's electronics and all kinds of other different things. And I'm just staring at this phone for what seemed to me like an eternity. In all reality, it's probably like 10 seconds, right? But I'm just like staring at it. And there was 4 missed calls on this thing.
Wow.
So we're standing there for 40 minutes. I'm thinking about a couple extra $100, right? In the grand scheme of things, I think it's
Mhm.
like $250 extra a month, maybe like 250 to 5. I can't remember, but it's an insignificant amount compared to 15 human lives, right? In by any stretch of the imagination, totally insignificant to 15 human lives that are in my charge, right? That is
Mhm.
my duty, and that is leadership right there. These people depend on me to do something for them, and I need to do it perfectly, right? And I was barely, barely getting by. I was total luck. I was getting totally lucky, and this is what's going on. So I wish that was a wake up call. I wish it was. However, I was pretty hard on myself the whole thing. I mean, my team was great. They're like, dude, it's Afghanistan. Everything looks disturbed. Everything looks like trash. We all walk by it. Like no one saw anything. It's like, that is my job though. It's like, it's not your
Mhm.
job to know that so it was like, I was definitely my worst critic. Even my teammate really bolstered me up. I mean, I had a great team. So
Mhm.
that
And
was
I
great.
mean, also to your credit, even in a really, I mean, I can't even imagine you just talking about that. I'm sweating right now, you guys. Like, oh my gosh,
Sorry.
I can't even imagine. And you still defaulted to your training. And I still think that that really speaks highly of, you know, how you handle that situation and your character and everything. So, um, I would be
Well, and
more with your teammates on that. But I hear what you're saying about like, man, I was distracted by like the financial stress felt like a bigger threat in that moment because you had your training, right? Is you that's such a big distinction. You didn't have training and a way to navigate through these financial challenges, and that's true for I would say most people, right? We don't grow up
sadly.
learning and having confidence to deal with this. So wherever you have training, that's where you're going to feel confident. Your brain isn't going to spiral and go, whoa, whoa, this is a threat, right? Because you have the training, you have the confidence to be able to navigate it. So I think that really speaks to how powerful our brains are when it comes to identifying threats and dealing with them, right?
Absolutely, Lauren. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and it is, there's probably people on here that have never been in a combat situation or face to face with an IED, right? And I would honestly, I would beg you, I implore you to reconsider, because you just replace that IED, right?
Mm.
Replace it with anything that you actually care about: your friends, your family, your spouse, your kids, teammates, coworkers, I mean, your boss, and literally anyone that you truly care about. They're the thing that's going to blow up in your face if you're not paying attention, if you're
Mhm.
distracted. And it's like, what are you actually distracted of, right? And this is like simple business stewardship, and we're talking about, like, we're eventually going to be talking about business finance and stuff like that. However, it's like, if you are so distracted where your personal life is seeping over, and it will, right? It's
Yeah.
only a matter of time. What is riding on the line? Not just your bottom line, because if you're a leader,
Mhm.
if you're a business leader and you have employees, you have a team, they're your bottom line, period, right?
Yeah.
They're your bottom line. And if they're not taken care of, their families aren't taken care of, they're not going to show up to work. Turnover is going to be at an all-time high, which is one of the most expensive things that businesses can go through. I think it's like, what, I was just
Mhm.
reading a report about $15,000 per
Wow.
someone, for an employee that makes around $50,000, 45 to $50,000 a year. It's going to cost the company around $15,000 in that turnover for that one person.
Yeah.
So
And people, and to your point, a lot of business owners, especially solopreneurs who are hiring for the first time, or maybe it's a newer realm of building a team, it can be a little intimidating to make that initial investment in someone. And the temptation is to go in kind of unprepared, just find the cheapest person or avoid building a team altogether. We can talk more about that. But knowing the real cost of failed leadership, hiring the wrong person, not training them well, not investing properly in ensuring their success, that's far more costly. And I love
huge.
your perspective on it, that it's not just about your dollar bottom line, not just about your bottom line profit, but really, what is the impact to that person? Like, your leadership is so critical, not only to your own success as a business leader, but also to the people that you're responsible to as the owner of the company, as the leader of that team. I love that is your perspective, that, hey, we've got real people here. And ultimately, as the leader, you're responsible for the success of the team and for their success.
Absolutely. And if they're not showing up to work to support your mission or
Mhm.
whatever it is that you're trying to do, guess what? Your money bottom line is going to suffer also.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a both and situation. I love the interaction we're getting from the comments. Let's
Yeah,
I want
sure.
to read a couple of these. Joseph, thank you for being here. Employees are the bottom line. Yes, I love that. Turnover has cost organizations $233 billion. I mean, to your point, Jay, wow, that is staggering. And yeah, people over
Scary.
profits. Chris Gray. Yeah, for most young military, there's zero training around finances. I would say that's true really across the board, and it's wow, I did not know this. It's very common for car dealers near base to charge service members twice the normal interest rate because they're young and they do not know. The points about lack of knowledge around finances is very true. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that is
Wow.
criminal, right? That is
Yeah.
criminal, but that is going on around every military base around our country.
Wow. Wow. I mean, those are some really powerful statistics, and thank you guys for your insight. It's great to get your thoughts, your knowledge, your participation. So keep the comments coming. If you guys have questions for Jay, um, you know, throw those in there as well. So wow, really, really powerful stuff, Jay. So I would love to hear a little bit more about your perspective on what leadership is, because we've all experienced, I think, at one point in our lives, bad leadership, like being under bad leadership. We all know how that feels. We know what that experience is like. So, being a leader, something that we don't want to do as leaders in our own context, whether that's in context of your family and how you're leading your family, and financially how you're leading your family, or that's in context of being a business leader. What does good leadership look like? How do you know if you're being a good leader? What does that actually look like in real life?
Yeah, no, it's fairly easy to tell if you're a good leader, right? Just look at
That's
your
good news.
team. Yep. Look at your team. How do they view you? What's the actual, like, take off your facade of how they perceive you, or your perception of how they perceive you. It's a lot of perceiving. But try to eliminate that and truly see how they interact with you. Do they trust you? Do they do the things you say because they want to, or are you forcing them to do it? Are you manipulate, like, do you have to manipulate them to get them to do the things that you want them to do? Or do you inspire them to take action because they believe that is the best thing for them to do as a person? It'll make them better as a person. It'll make the team better. It'll make the company organization better. Um, Leadership is inspiration, period. So if you're not inspiring and influence, right? If you're not inspiring those around you to do the, like, better, to be the best versions of themselves for the mission, for each other, for themselves, you're not a leader. And you're
Mm,
only a leader when the people that you're supposed to be leading deem you as a good leader. So
mm,
that's pretty easy. Tough pill to swallow, though, right?
yeah.
I know what bad leadership looks like because I've had bad leaders. I have been a bad leader, and it's a lifelong journey. My first experience as being a leader, quote unquote, right, was my very first platoon, right? I was a freshly minted bomb squad guy. I was getting ready to go support the Rangers in Afghanistan. I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Just like I was up on cloud nine, and I had to be knocked down a few rungs. And I did. I definitely was knocked down a couple rungs because people around me held me accountable. That's what's the beauty of being on a great team, is like, dude, that is not anything. What are you doing? Right. I was doing a drill, and it was my first platoon again. So it was my officer in charge. He's the senior guy on the team, and he was a prior enlisted dude, so he had a little bit more clout. However, we do a drill, right? And that's what EOD. It's like we're always doing scenarios. Like, okay, let's do this,
Mhm.
let's do that. And we had role players. We had like puffy mines. You step on the thing, like colored smoke comes up and just stains everything you're wearing red
You guys have fun with
forever.
those trainings when it's all
Oh
fake,
yeah.
huh?
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. It's like, I mean, what do we call it? It's LARPing, pretty much. We're just like professional LARPers. But yeah, so we're doing this, and it's to get ready for the Ranger mission, right? We're gonna go support the
Mhm.
Rangers, direct support. And I'm just like doing the drill. I'm the team leader, going through this. And then we finish the drill. My OIC comes up to me. He's like, dude, what was that? And I'm like, what?
Mm.
No one died. Everything's good. He's like, dude, you were yelling at everyone like he had some colorful language. We'll save it. Let your imagination go wild. But
This is the military. There's a lot of
yeah,
colorful language.
yeah. So he
Yeah.
calls me out. I'm like, dude, what? He's like, yeah, these are human beings, right? These are your
Mm,
teammates. You're gonna expect them to be watching your back. Also, you're treating everyone like trash, and you're yelling at them. And again, single mom raised, and in my family, right? Let's rewind a little bit. When we had arguments in my house, whoever was yelling the loudest was the right one, right? That's
oh,
how we did arguments, growing up in the Lee household, the Chateau de Lee, if you will. And
mhm,
that was just not how leaders conduct themselves. And I learned that lesson right then and there that night. And he's like, listen, no one's going to listen to you, and they're going to leave you at the FOB, the base, right? The forward operating base.
mm,
That's where we go to when we're deployed. And I'm like, they can't do that. I'm the EOD guy. They need me. It's like, no, they don't. At the end of the day, your direct support and your job is to provide recommendations for them. Period.
mm.
They don't have to listen to anything you say. I was like, okay, that's one rung,
Yeah.
And then it's just like that relation. So it's like, how are you a good leader? It's like, I need these men to trust what I'm saying. I need to get onto this
Mhm,
platoon, right? So as an outsider, right? I'm Navy EOD. They're Army Rangers. They have their own selection thing. So they're like a tight knit group. And that's the same thing with Rangers, Green Berets, SEALs, whatever the case may be. They all have their own selections. They all think they're the best, right? They're all the same.
mhm.
Just kidding. I love you all. They're all uniquely different. But
They might have something to say about that if
yeah,
they were on here.
yeah, they're all uniquely different, and I
Yeah.
love them and hate them for all different reasons, right?
Mhm.
However, it's a very tight knit organization, right? And as an outsider, I'm trying to come in and establish trust with literally everyone on the team because I need them to trust me with their lives. You know,
Mm,
that is a big deal, which was
yeah.
kind of lost on me starting out. That was what my job was. My job primarily was, like making sure nothing blew up at the wrong time, right?
So you learned in a very real way, like, oh, I can't just rely on my title. They're not going to automatically trust me because of my title and my training. I
Absolutely.
have to actually develop that relationship and earn their trust.
Yeah.
So for the business leader who's like, man, that is a tall order. And maybe someone watching this is realizing, wow, I have been relying on the fact that I'm the boss, right? I'm the owner of the company. I'm the one who writes the paychecks. They need me to write their paycheck. Therefore, they have to do whatever I tell them to do. Which there's truth in that. That's not entirely wrong, but they could also walk off the job and go find another job. I think there were like something I heard this on Ken Coleman this morning that I forget how many jobs were created this last month. It's like 500,000. I mean, it's a lot of jobs, right? Anyone who wants to find a job right now can go find a job essentially. And if you're not happy with your job, you can go find a job somewhere else. So there's nothing like it's not like, oh, these people like who work for me, they have no other option. And you also don't want to be a jerk, quite frankly, and just have people working for you because they have no other options. So what does that look like though? What are some practical steps that people can take to start building that trust, especially where maybe they're coming from an environment where there isn't a great amount of trust? I mean, I remember working for an organization at one point where trust was fractured, and the leader in a meeting said, the problem is that you need to trust us more. And I'm like, I don't think that's how it works. You can't just
Yeah.
order
You
people
got
to
the
trust you.
equation backwards there, pal.
So, but then sometimes people really do want to cultivate that trust in their team. How do you start to do that? How do you become
Yeah.
trustworthy as a leader?
It's, the term servant leadership is tossed around a lot right now,
Mhm.
but that is what it boils down to. And I'm going to explain what true servant leadership is. It's not just a buzzword that I'm going to say to sound cool. It's you're signing up because it's a sacred obligation, and that I truly
Mhm.
believe that
Yeah.
because as a leader, no one is going to trust you if like in your situation, it's like, we need you to trust us more. They should be thinking to themselves, and if you're a business leader that's in the same boat, I need my team to trust me more. What are you doing to earn their trust? Right? You sign up every day to serve them in what they need to do their jobs properly. And if you're not giving them that, if you're not putting people, and this is like for the hiring stuff, right? People have their ideal environments. Right? Everyone has their ideal environment, and we should know what that is because I could be the best everything. But if my ideal environment is not being met, I'm not going to be productive. I'm not going to show up and be the best. I'm going to be 90%, then 80, and then 70. I mean, because every day I'm showing up to this environment that I hate.
Mhm.
Um, what are we doing to create those environments? And I'm not talking about safe spaces, okay? Not talking about that at all. I'm talking about productivity and getting stuff
Yeah.
done, right?
Yeah.
And
Just enabling people to be their best is what it sounds like,
exactly.
giving them what they need.
Exactly. Think about, I always equate it to an NBA team, right? And you don't need to be an NBA fan, know all the stats, right? Just think about a professional basketball team, okay? They're good at basketball. They get paid millions of dollars to play basketball, right? You put them in a gymnasium, okay? They're in
Mhm.
there, they're shooting free throws. No stress, no pressure. Hey guys, just shoot some free throws, shoot around, have some fun. How many baskets are they going to make? Probably
Mm.
a lot, right? There's no pressure. It's chill. They're having fun, right? That
Mhm.
same NBA team, same exact task, same exact job, same exact skill level. Everything is the same. Turn off the lights. Okay. Just turn the lights off. Ask them to do the same thing. How many shots are they going to make now? probably significantly less. Some are going to get lucky. They're going to drain some for sure. I mean, they're professionals. They're just weird like that, right? But they're not in the ideal environment to do the task that you just asked them to do, even though they are the best at that job.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when you're
Mm-hmm.
hiring people, you have to do the same thing. What is this job? Am I keeping the lights on for them, or am I not?
Mm. It sounds like the process to getting that information too really forces you to be pretty vulnerable and really like puts you in that true servant position where um you're kind of exposing your own, like, I have blind spots here, I need information from you. Like, you have to be willing to receive feedback is what it sounds like, and then to be able to trust what your team is saying and what they need, and to make provide that to them.
Right. And obviously, this is within reason. You're not going to make everyone
Mhm.
exactly happy, and you're not going to please everyone.
Sure.
And there is a time and a place where it's like, this is the list we got to do, so everyone get done. Like everyone just
Mhm.
do it, right? There is a time and a place for that, but that it should not be the norm by any
Mm.
means. There's like,
Mhm.
yo, it's crunch time. We got to close this budget. It's, close out. However, if you do the things that we're talking about prior to that, there won't be that crunch time. Um,
Mhm.
the crunch time will come way sooner, and it'll be a lot less of a burden for everyone. And if you're a solopreneur, right, I'm guilty of this also, is the procrastination, right? You just
Mm.
put it off. Oh, that can wait. That can wait. That can wait. I need to prioritize this. I need to prioritize that. And my priorities are all jacked up, and I'm procrastinating on things. And now it's crunch time, and now I'm pulling an all-nighter to create some content that I need to do for tomorrow's thing, right? That happens. Just be aware of it and try to eliminate it. And don't do that for your team if you have a team.
Mm. Yeah, it sounds like the golden rule of treat others as what you would want as you would want to be treated. It is really applies, but we have to know what that looks like. We have to be able to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, and we have to lead by example and model beyond what we expect of anyone else. And and then yeah, you're not going to be able to cater um everyone's ideal work environment. You're not there to just cater to everyone's whims, but at the same time you are there to get their feedback, take it seriously, let people take their own risks. I love what you said, Joseph, in the comments that um, there's a big difference between being a dictator and a leader, and that leaders develop more leaders. So it's what are we doing to help people become successful, and are we doing enough listening? And then, also something you said that I found really insightful is that you're telling people that, like, hey, we need to just pull together and get this done, like giving an order. That should be more rare. But I think when you've cultivated that trust and you have that culture, and everyone feels fulfilled in their work, they feel appreciated, they know they're doing a great job, they're being empowered and equipped to make a meaningful contribution, and they're part of that team, uh, then it's a lot easier to get that buy-in. It's like, okay, yeah, we know this has to get done. It's not something that you're going to get a lot of pushback or complaints about, because it's not the norm, and because you have built that capital and you have that trust with your team. So then they're willing to give that to you when you need it.
Yeah, and that's a huge difference of, the buy-in versus compliance thing of
Mm,
when you are in these situations like you're saying, if I'm like, "Hey guys, we got to just do this. Like just knock it out." If you're a good leader, your team's going to be like, "Done.
mm,
Nothing needs to be said anymore," right? They're just going to do it because they know that that's not how you are. There's just what you're saying is true, right? And they believe you and trust you. And trust is an emotion, right? Trust is,
mm,
if I trust you, Lauren, right? That means like you tell me you're going to do something, I don't think about it. I literally don't think about it because I trust you that you're just going to get it done. I'm not like, yeah, Lauren, I trust you to get it done, but I would really like to see your progress by 3 p.m. today. I'm not going to
mm.
do that because that's not trust. If
Yeah,
if
you
someone
show
is
your
not
trust.
trustworthy, yeah,
Hmm.
if someone's not trustworthy, yes, you have to kind of empower them. help them, build them up to a point where they can be trustworthy. That doesn't mean micromanage them. That means give them the tools they need to be trustworthy.
That's
So, yeah.
really good. That's a subtle but very powerful distinction, I think. Awesome. Jay, this has been so amazing. What other words of wisdom uh, would you like to share as we close out today, of just how you can continue to grow in leadership, or if your finances are a distraction, how you can take that first step to be the steward that you want to be in your business and in your personal life? What would like a good first step be for someone to take?
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking finances, obviously I'm going to say the budget, right? You have to actually sit down and spend some intentional time with yourself. What are you spending money on? How much money is coming in? How much money is going out, right?
Mhm.
Before you do that, though, I always encourage people to just look at the numbers, figure out where you're at, right? It's not about where you want to go right now. It's about where you are, right? I can pull out my phone and Google any place in the world, and it'll tell me how to get there. If I have GPS, if I have a satellite lock on my position right now, I'm not going to get directions if my GPS, if my my phone doesn't know where I am. So you're not going to go anywhere if you don't know where you are either. So figure out where you're at, number one. And that is both financially, that's spiritually, that is values based, right? What do you actually believe, and why do you believe that? What are your core values? You know, because make yourself a mission statement. Make a personal mission statement based on your values. So that way, when you are going through all your finances and identifying all your spending, you can pull out the thing that you wrote, not that someone told you that you should value these things, but that you actually believe is valuable, and a valuable code essentially to live by. Identify the things in your life that are inconsistent with your values, whether that's
Mhm.
spending or the decisions you make at work. And
You
that's
know,
huge.
yeah, that's so powerful, because a lot of the time we talk about goals, and goals are important. Knowing what that destination is, what you want it to look like, is important. But if you don't know your starting point, Jay, you're bringing us the reality check today. Like, you've got to know, you've got to look at the numbers, you've got to assess the situation with your team and your own leadership. You've got to know where you stand with everyone. You've got to know where you stand financially and know exactly what's going on, so you can put a pinpoint on that GPS. Because you're right, you won't know how to get from point A to point B if you don't know where point A is. So you've got to, it's not enough to have a goal. The goal is super important, but it's not the only thing. And then to be guided by those values, get clarity on those values. So yeah, those are great practical takeaways. One, make a budget, know where you're at financially now, and then create that plan around those values, so that that's the driving force that keeps you going in the right direction. Would that be a fair summary?
That's fair. Very good. Very
Awesome.
nice. Thank you.
Perfect. Jay, this has been so insightful, such an amazing conversation. Where can people connect with you? Where can they find you? And are you currently taking new clients for coaching, for speaking? What have you got going on right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn, obviously. That's where we're at, right?
Awesome. I'm
So
Jay.
connect with me at
Yep.
LinkedIn, Jay Lee. You'll find me there. Follow me, connect with me. I'm always up for a conversation. I like to have cups of coffee, if you will, just like a 30-minute
Virtual
conversation.
coffee.
I want to learn about you, right? So let's have a cup of coffee. Reach out, and you can go to my website, our
Uh-huh.
company website, goldencompassllc.com,
Yep.
and you can connect with me. You can connect with Ivan. He's our CEO and my teammate and my friend. Happy to call him that, and honored to call him that. Honestly, he keeps me in line, so I need it. And yeah, that's the mega ways that you can follow me, right? Instagram, or I'm sorry, Instagram. Yeah, I'm on there from time to time, but that's just like for fun. But yeah, check me out, GC Financial Freedom. That's my Instagram, or the Live Free series, where the podcast
Oh,
that I host is hosted. So yeah,
yes, the Live Free series.
check it
Check out
out.
that podcast, the Live Free series. Check out the website, Golden Compass LLC, and connect with Jay here on LinkedIn. And then you're also on Instagram, but it's a different handle. And tell us what that is, and I'll put that on the screen real quick.
Yeah, Instagram for all the finance stuff. It's typically GC, Financial Freedom. And the Instagram for the podcast is the Live Free series.
Okay. Podcast, the Live Free series. I follow you on both of those. Sometimes the names, I get the names. Let's see. There we go. Awesome. All right. I'll leave that up for everyone. So go find Jay on Instagram as well and start following his podcast. He's got an amazing, amazing podcast. And that comes out once a week?
Every other week.
Every other
Wednesdays. Typically, we just had a release yesterday. Adam Bird, founder and CEO of the Heroes Media Group, which is a great organization. So yeah, you should go check that out.
Cool. Awesome. Jay, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing your story. I had heard like kind of the overview of that story before, but never had the privilege of hearing it in such detail. But man, what an impactful story. And I love how you've taken that and how you're helping so many people now. It's amazing. So thanks for being here today.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks you guys. All right, that wraps up Simple Business Stewardship for today. And we'll see you guys next Thursday at 11 Mountain. That's 10 Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. See you next time.